Welcome to the Chronicle Take Two, the podcast which continues the chat from the Chronicle, the official film podcast of the People's Movies. I am Paul, I'm your host, I'm also the chief editor at the People's Movies. Thank you very much for listening and sharing the Chronicle episode 52, the previous episode, which was all about film noir, underappreciated films and underrated films. So for this episode, the Chronicle Take Two, I will be reviewing Wake Up Dead Man, which is Knives Out Mystery. So this episode of the Chronicle Take Two, this is a review of Wake Up Dead Man, Knives Out Mystery, aka Knives Out Mystery, Knives Out 3, which is currently on Netflix. So nothing is impossible when it comes to a murder mystery, when you have Detective Benoit Blanc on your case. Rian Johnson, he's the director of this, and he's the director of the trilogy of these whodunnit films. And the latest film, the third film, it's got a Hans God is obviously stamped all over it. And our detective mastermind has to head, obviously, to the church. Knives Out, the first film, was out in 2019. And it sort of kicks off in the confines of a wealthy manor of a crime novelist, Harling Thornbley. He was played by Christopher Plummer. And his dysfunctional family, who were greedy, they felt they were entitled, all their deceptive motives, obviously because they all want their wealthy father's wealth. And away from amongst this is the family secrets, financial woes, the resentments. And this film wasn't actually about who done it, but what actually happened. The second film came out a few years after that. It was around about 2022, I believe. Knives Out 2, aka Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, took us to a billionaire's paradise getaway in a small private Greek island. And it was a tech billionaire, Miles Braun, who was played by Edward Norton. He set up a murder mystery weekend, which Benoit was obviously invited to. Braun invited a lot of his friends, or as he called them, disruptor friends, who all had their own, their successes. As we gradually learn, getting exposed as being very, very hollow. However, before the actual games start to kick off, there's been a murder, and everyone's a suspect. So what perfect person to have on the island is Benoit Blanc. So the actual name Glass Onion, and that refers to the structure of the film, obviously the mystery, the complexity, and the actual onion itself. As you know, with an onion and know with the layers, you take one of the layers away, strip it away, and you reveal something else. It could be some revelation. And those involved are simply very selfish, very jealous. This new movie, Wake Up Dead Man, is the sequel to that. Going back to that sort of first film, the Knives Out in 2019, Benoit Blanc was really, really a mystery himself. He was very mysterious. We knew nothing about him, apart from he was a private detective. But but a bit like Peter Fox Columbo, who came across as a bit of a quiet assassin, a bit of a fumbling guy. He made the Fumbly clan underestimate him, and he was very quick and composed approach in how he got to the suspects. By Glass Onion, we started obviously to peel more of the layers again in this onion, and we started to learn a little bit about Benoit himself, his personal life, that he was gay. He was also married, and he had a domestic life, and he got easily bored. He was actually married to Hugh Grant, which sort of played along in the joke there. Most importantly, his reputation started to grow as one of the world's greatest detectives, and that's obviously attracted Braun in the second film. So Wake Up Dead Man, once again, strips more of those layers away. And Benoit, we don't learn much more about Benoit, his personal, apart from his mother was a very devout Catholic, but he's an atheist. All thanks to the experience and the environment it was in during the church time. It was very, very, very negative. This film is a big cast, and we've quite a few cast here. So obviously Daniel Craig's back to play Benoit Blanc. Josh O'Connor, he's now the sort of main actor in this one. He plays Father Judd, obviously with Josh Brolin. He plays Monsignor Wicks, Jefferson Wicks. And we also have Glenn Close, who plays Jefferson Wicks' housemaid, and Thomas Haden Church, ironically, is the church's handyman. Then we have Mila Kunis, Jeremy Renner, Kerry Washington, Andrew Scott, Kelly Spaeny, Daryl, Daryl McCormack are in there as well. It's when we first sort of meet Judd. He looks like he's in like a training college for priests, and we don't actually see exactly what was said, but we see him actually punching what is a deacon, a training priest, and the next minute he's sitting in front of this board who are obviously going to punish him. However, the Bishop Langstrom, who's played by Jeffrey Wright, he gives Judd a chance, and we learn for these few minutes he speaks to Judd, he's helped him out quite a lot during his life and his career here. We learned that before he was a priest, he was a former boxer, and he did something. I'm not going to say exactly what he did, but what it did was it made him a broken person, and the church helped him become a better person. And obviously, through God, he learned that through the power of God, he can heal other broken people like himself. So the little church he gets sent to is upstate New York. Excuse me if I pronounce this wrong. Sends him to the Our Lady of Perpetual Fortitude. It just basically sounds like a church like something Monty Python would actually do. This church is run by, as I mentioned earlier, Monsignor Jefferson Ricks, played by Brolin. And as he arrives, he sees the church. There's no crucifix up there. Everyone's a little bit suspicious about him. It's a bit like when you used to watch, if you ever watch a Western movie, when a stranger rides into town, everyone sort of suddenly stops and stares but don't actually say anything, or they're a little bit sort of worried to say something, or something really obviously happens there. Basically, Brolin and Glenn Close's characters, they like characters straight out of the pages of a Daphne du Maurier novel, and it's quite. And this is where like Glenn Close, she's quite good at keeping things going, very mysterious as well. His introduction to Wicks is a bit of an odd one. He does get off good with him at the beginning, but we start to learn why. We start to learn the character of Wicks, and we also learn that the villagers who are his parishioners, his flock, they're sort of broken as well. We start to learn the of little things that sort of drive them to the church. Like Andrew Scott, he plays like a sci-fi writer who sort of connects to God. And then we have Callie Spaeny, sorry. She's a troubled cellist. She's very wealthy, but she constantly donates to the church. But also she's there obviously cause for medical reasons as well. She thinks the church could help her. And then we have Kerry Washington. She's a sort of quite spoiled person. She is the solicitor, and she's the daughter of a deceased close friend to Wicks. And then we have Daryl McCormack. He plays Cy, and he's a YouTube influencer. He's a bit of a shifty character. Wants to be a politician, and let's just say he's probably close to something that Donald Trump would probably like, in sort of political wise. Now, Jerry Renner, who's just broken up with he's a broken character as well, as I said. Just his wife just left him, and the drink seems to be, his comfort. He has a lot of demons going on. As I said, Thomas Haden Church, he's a church handyman, and he has many demons as well. And also Glenn Close, as we learned also. So once obviously Judd starts to meet a lot of the villagers who go to the church, they don't like him at the beginning, but something happens. There's been a murder. People start to judge Judd quite a lot, and who's who, but everyone's obviously a suspect. Hey, Wake Up Dead Man. It's all about sin, forgiveness, guilt, redemption. And Wicks, who called his flock, if you like to say, is guilt-ridden, broken, lost souls. As I said, it questions your religion or faith. It sort of gives the sort of comfort to these followers. You wonder, does it give them what they want? Why are they actually there? Because deep down, it seems that every suspect in this, every villager, is very angry. But are they angry with life, or are they angry at the church? And Wicks himself, he's a very angry person as well. And you could say he's poisoning the church. And there's a couple of scenes where when he's giving his sermon and the only way I can say it, it's very toxic. And it reminds me of when we used to show back in Northern Ireland, we used to have the Reverend Ian Paisley, very aggressive. With his sermons and whatever he was talking about, he was trying to get a point across. I'm not saying, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone is the same faith as Ian Paisley was, I'm not having a go at him. I'm just saying when Wicks was doing a sermon very similar to him, anyone knew it came to church, they were walking out in the middle of his sermon as well. And he's very unhinged. He starts says a lot of people don't really like him. The previous films, they're completely different for this one. They were more into the eat the rich and that type of thing. And Benoit Blanc, he actually doesn't arrive into the film to about 40 minutes in, which shows he's really a secondary character. And Judd, it's all Judd. Judd's also the narrator as well. In this, he's doing his best to try and obviously get on well with the parishioners here. But none of them want to know him. They even have what they call a book club that Wicks has with these parishioners, and he's not even invited as well. It's absolute crazy. And Wicks, he starts to have meetings with the parishioners to try and get to know them. And then when Wicks finds out about this, he's really angry and he starts destroying the village to get them out. Goes out, and so when Judd appears with Benoit Blanc, they throw him out right away. This is a bit more. Don't get me wrong, there is humour in this, and the humour occasionally it does save this film at times. This is a more serious, a more sort of darker movie, and it seems it's a. I mean, as I said, it's a more darker movie. I mean, there's at one point when he first meets when Judge first meets Father Monsignor Wicks. He asks him to take confession. It wasn't really a confession to me. It was a very uncomfortable confession for Judd because it was showing that Wicks' power and control it he has. Because, excuse my language here, folks, as I say, I don't really like to swear in this. It was all about Wicks saying how he masturbated quite a lot, and that's things, really a priest, you don't expect a priest to sort of talk about. And it shows Wicks' character, how at ease he was with himself. It was a statement of his dominance, and it was obviously to ridicule Judd, to let him know, I'm in charge here. And obviously his manipulation and obviously to control things and let him know who's the boss. As I said, he's a wee bit, going back to this, when he does his sermon, he's a wee bit like a cult leader here. People, as they start to follow him, obviously the parishioners that keep following him around, we've mentioned several times, it sort of shows you what character he's like. The overall sort of reaction of Wake Up Dead Man is, overall, it's out of the three films, a lot of people are saying, critics and people I know have seen it, are actually saying they really like this movie. I will say it's highly enjoyable ride, but it's a very bumpy ride as well. Because early on, it's a very. I think there's a lot of pacing issues here. I think you could also say there's too many characters in here for this sort of whodunit type movie, and a lot of the reasons the prime suspects, there's not a lot of good reasons for them to be prime suspects. Maybe to be angry suspects, but not exactly to go out and do something. I will say Daniel Craig, he is one of the highlights of the film. With Southern charm, and I think it's getting a lot deeper. It's getting a lot intense as well. He for Judd is really like the emotional support for him because Josh O'Connor, who is absolutely superb in this, he is the sort of highlight yet. Benoit's the sort of support for him, and he just seems to arrive at the right time. He's to give some impact to Judd. And he's very immersive and very involving, and it sort of develops even Benoit Blanc's character. Ladies and gents, I'm recording this on the 24th of December at night time, which is the night before Christmas. And I think this film will do really, really well for anyone after they've had their dinner, their Christmas lunch, their Christmas dinner, to sit down, sit around the telly, whatever way they watch Netflix, and just enjoy it. It's just, you can say it's like the dessert you want. It's nice and sweet, but it's a lot darker than the previous movies. And I think the previous movies, as in Daniel Craig's character, a bit more Miss Marple. I think this is a bit more Inspector Clouseau, maybe a little bit Columbo here going on here. It might just fall slightly delivering some subject matter. The subject matters it does perfectly. As I said earlier, there is humour in it, and the humour it is in here. For a film, it's a bit more straightforward that the humour actually saves it. So you have it, folks. That is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, and I give it 3 stars. That's your lot, folks. That is your Chronicle Take 2. That was a review of Wake Up Dead Man, an Knives Out mystery, which is currently streaming on Netflix. Apologies if the if the review was a little bit rough. I was recording it late at night. How can you follow the Chronicle and the People's Movies online? Well, we are at Facebook at the People's Movies, over at X and Twitter at the People's Movie. We are also on Instagram at the People's Movies and at YouTube at the People's Movies 1. Keep track of social media with future episodes of The Chronicle and The Chronicle Take 2. You can also keep track of things by signing up for our email newsletter. You can find a link over at thepeoplesmovies.com for that. You can show your support for The Chronicle and The People's Movies by Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal. We're also on Patreon as well. You can find all the links over at the website. Please do share this podcast on social media with your friends and family. You will find us obviously in some of the most popular podcast websites like Podbean, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. And if you're over there, please do give us a rating because that is where we get the podcast out to more and more people, and it does help us a lot. As I said, you can show your support for the Chronicle at the People's Movies with Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal and Patreon. By doing that, that helps keeps the website running, helps to pay the bills for the website and obviously the podcast. And anytime you have to obviously update any of the equipment as well. Apologies for taking a little bit longer to get the last sort of few episodes of the podcast out. It's this time of the year, it's Christmas time. A lot of people, none of us are full time at the website or the podcast. We've all got jobs or college or university or personal lives. So a lot of things did happen the last few weeks, and that's sort of reason why there's a long period between each episode. 2026 is only a few days away. We do have a few plans to make sure we get a bit more episodes out in 2026. As in for the next episode, which is going to be a double episode, it's that time of the year where we look at the best and worst films. Clotilda Chinichi is going to come back with me, and we're going to do that later this week and hopefully get it out at the end of this week, maybe at the start of 2026. Keep an eye on thepeoplesmovies.com. There's a few things happening, a lot of posts going on, a few competitions, a few other reviews. But other than that, folks, thank you for joining me. Until the next time, enjoy the movies.